Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Burgundy Gold Knuckleheads podcast. And as always, you know it, I say it every week. There's my main man, Reggie. What's going on, Reg?
What's up, Ken? What's going on, man?
Man, just fighting through this summer heat. And I can't turn away from this anything Commanders related. If it's on TV, if it's a tweet, if it's an interview, I'm trying to pull in everything that I can on what's going on with Washington Commanders, and then here we are to share that and give our opinions and ideas about what's going on in training camp this week. How about you, man?
Well, I'm with you on this heat, man. I don't know who we pissed off. I don't know who we have pissed off, but boy, it is 1,000 degrees outside here in Texas. Again, for all of our new listeners, Ken and I live right here deep in the heart of Dallas, Texas, home of the hated Cowboys, man. But it's hot. There's no other way to put it. You can't even try to soften it. You can't even kind of almost make it feel. It is hot as hell here, man. And
we're begging for the mid-90s, right? I'll be happy for 95 right now. When it's
95 feels like a cold front with the kind of heat and humidity we're dealing with.
It would, as I say, it's so hot. Chickens are laying boiled eggs around here, man. It is hot. It is hot.
I've never heard that one before, but yes, it is probably about that hot around here.
Yes,
and but I'm glad I work inside. I'm one of the lucky ones, man. Yeah. That I got AC in my car, and I work inside, so I got AC inside the building.
That's right.
But it's hot, man. But what is making this good is we know that as this starts to cool down around here, that is when we will be one step closer to the start of the season. And right now we're in training camp, and so with training camp, man, brings a lot of excitement. And a lot of excitement is upon us. We've been watching, and to your point, on Twitter or X. I mean, I don't know what the hell Elon Musk is doing. It's like he just gets in and just decides to just screw stuff up. Like what was wrong with Twitter?
I'm so rich I can do whatever, and it's
man. But come on, man. It's again, because we try to keep our podcast PG-13, man. I almost use some language here, but like you're just messing it up just for the sake of just like it just Anyway,
he's got an itch and he's got the money to scratch it no matter what. So
by changing the name,
by changing whatever,
stupid.
Oh, it's stupid.
It's kind of like when
Prince, don't get me wrong.
When Prince became the symbol, you couldn't even say it. So what was his name? He's not Prince anymore, but
he's still Prince. Yeah, formerly Prince. Yeah, formerly Prince.
That's just dumb, right? I knew why he did it, and I respect Prince for becoming the symbol. But when you became the symbol, you had no name. You're just a symbol,
right?
So now Twitter's just X, or should we call you 10? Because you're Roman new. I mean, I don't know, but anyway, getting off on a tangent here. But my point being is, all over social media, man, it's just nothing but pictures and photos and videos of training camp, the players, the former players out at training camp, all the fans that are out at training camp, and we'll get into all that.
Yeah.
But it's training camp, man, and we're all excited with the new era in Washington football.
Well, and some of the things that you mentioned there, going into training camp, the crowds are big, man. There's excitement, and there's reason to be both on the field and off the field, right? There's new ownership, so that anchor we feel is off of our foot, dragging us down. As we start climbing, we're not going to have an owner that trips us up. We feel like we don't, based on the track record of the current ownership. You see pictures of Magic Johnson. He's over in Europe on some multi-million-dollar yacht and him and his family, and there's like 10 people all wearing Washington Commanders gear, and it just makes you feel good that, man, we got people that are on this team, that want to be on the team, that want to do well. It's all talk right now, but they're all definitely saying the right things. Um, and
Yep.
then on the field, we had a really good defense last year, and here the first couple days, her young rookie cornerback is looking like he's worthy of that number one pick. We got the excitement of a new quarterback. We got the excitement of a new offensive coordinator, and you see it in the players, right? When they're doing their interviews and they're saying, and they're going to say everything positive right now anyway, but you just see a little bit of emphasis, a little sparkle in their eye as they're giving these interviews, that they're enjoying this. They're looking forward to working hard and putting this in, and it feels like it's a good formula for them to have success this year.
Yeah. Yeah. And outside of the fans, who seems to be the happiest, and it's very obvious that the weight and the pressure's been lifted off of him. Ron Rivera.
Yeah.
If you watch any of his press conferences since the change in ownership, every day after practice, man, that guy seems that a heavy weight has been lifted off his shoulders, and you can tell that he is enjoying himself. It's almost like he said himself, now that he can focus just solely on football,
Right.
not having to answer media questions about all of the other stuff. And so it's been very clear for Ron with the new change in ownership. It was interesting that you see all of the images of mostly Josh Harris, and being out at camp and everything, and I couldn't help but think, this guy owns two other franchises,
Right.
but because he bought those franchises and it's kind of the owner, he's just viewed as the owner. I watched him during his couple days in training camp, and it was like a rock star because everyone wanted pictures and autographs of the guy that has rescued the franchise. And if I was in front of him, I'd have had one question. That question would have been, have you ever, or do you get this kind of treatment in Philadelphia or New Jersey? And I got to believe the answer is no, because he just bought a team that was already pre-existing and was tasked with just creating a winner.
Right.
It went deeper than that when he took over the Washington Commanders, right? It was almost as a savior. And
absolutely.
So now this is the guy. And so everybody was just loving on him and high-fiving and autographs and pictures and selfies and all of that kind of stuff. And he was eating it up. Because I guarantee you, when he took over the Devils and the Sixers, it wasn't quite the fanfare, other than a couple of press conferences, right?
Right.
And it doesn't mean that he doesn't, people doesn't approach him when he's out in the streets. But I got to believe it's nothing like what he witnessed at training camp for 2 days when he was there in Virginia. So,
well, I mean,
very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it, and it just goes to show how the dedicated fans that have been through the Snyder years and hung around. I mean, you and I are, example A and example B, of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Commanders fans who we just want to win, man. We want to be competitive. We want to be the team that we were, in the 80s and early 90s before Snyder came along, and yeah, you might have a year or two that are not quite as good, but you make some moves and you build it because you've got a good staff, you've got a good core team behind you. So adding a couple players or having a good draft or two makes a world of difference. And So we'll see. We feel like we've got somebody that has an approach of letting the experts do their job, like any good company organization should be run. You can't interfere with all the good work that's being done. We can circle back around with Elon Musk on that. But in Washington, Dan Snyder interfered a lot. You hear different coaches, different players come along and say that. People try to keep it hush hush, afraid that you're going to burn bridges if you talk about it. Well, Snyder's gone, and you start hearing a whole lot more of it. People being vocal that previously kind of, like I said, laid low on a lot of those topics.
Well, also the impact and the I don't know what word I'm looking for here, but you could see it immediately. The impact of the change in ownership instantly, right?
Yes.
You see it. You see it in the organization on the business side. We've seen how they put the bleachers in, and it's funny. All they did was put bleachers in.
Yep.
Right. But what a difference it looked at camp. It looked like a professional football
It was professional.
team.
Right.
It looked very professional. All they did, Ken, was put bleachers. But the bleachers there, the setup that they brought to bring, to get fans there, the fact that they're having the fans there as opposed to this raffle draw that only a select few get to. They had it was open. You get your ticket, you go, and they had 10,000 people there, and then being there, you got all the fans. That gave the fans access to the players. The players were willing to give a little time after practice. You saw all the former players there. Our guy, friend of the show, Anthony Armstrong, was out there. He took pictures with some former players. I mean, it's just, sellers. I mean, you just see all the former players coming back, and this was immediate.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say.
Sell of the team.
Yeah, the point there was, a lot of the former players weren't like real comfortable, weren't excited about coming around the team and promoting the team and promoting everything. And because I think they had a bad taste in the mouth for Snyder. So they're like, why would I come out there and help Snyder with everything, but now that's gone. And you can just see the way the former players are talking. To your point, Anthony Armstrong, Sellers, like Rock Cartwright, a handful of players that were like, they are happy to be back. They feel like they're part of the organization again, even though it's only been a week or two, right?
Correct.
Week and a half. They already feel like, hey, these are my roots. This is where I am. And I can't, I want to be remembered, and I want to be part when this thing gets turned around. So yeah, I'm happy for it. Definitely.
Yeah. And the facilities, we're talking about the bleachers, the facilities will be upgraded. I don't know how much the fans will get to see that part, but obviously it's going to help and benefit the players. Sure. They're already talking about the millions, the hundreds of millions that they're going to invest in the stadium to kind of improve the fan experience there. And this is obviously just until, the new stadium is built. And I know that will come at a different day and a different time.
But all of a sudden, all the cities and, Maryland is interested in it. Virginia is interested in it. DC is interested. We're all willing to talk now. And before, everybody was like, we're
not interested.
Not interested. You're not getting any tax breaks, whatever it was. But
and again, that goes back to the impact of the owner change that was felt immediately.
Yes.
Real quick question here. Just a thought that came to my mind.
Go ahead.
A lot of people, myself included, wanted Jeff Bezos to be the owner.
Okay.
Do you think that if Jeff Bezos had purchased the team, that the vibe would be the same as we're getting with Josh Harris and his ownership group? Simply because 3 of those guys are from the area and grew up fans of the team, as opposed to Jeff Bezos would have just been the guy with the most money who can do the most, buy the biggest toys. Do you think the impact would have been the same?
I don't. Well, I think because nobody knows, um, you know, other than Magic Johnson, nobody knows any of the owners, right? So they come with a clean slate. Jeff Bezos, there's people that have positive or negative things about him right now, right before he even buys the team. So that kind of comes into play a little bit. If he's doing a lot of the same things, saying the same things, talking about investing in the team, putting out the bleachers, you're like, man, I think you, I think you're still going to get a lot of the similar thing because you're like, well, look, he's only been here for a week, and we can tell how much money he's put into it already. If he
But how
continues,
much of it being a fan of the team and from the area has endeared themselves to the fans even more so on top of everything that you're referring to?
I
I think it plays a role.
everybody likes when a former player or fan has something to do with the team, right? You would like a former player to be the head coach for Washington one day. I used to like that stuff. For the most part, I could care less about that because once that starts getting the focus of some kind of lineage on our team, that doesn't mean that that player or that coach is the best fit
For the
for it.
position. Yeah.
So I, I'm a little. I mean, yeah, your heart can't help but like that the owner was a fan before he came on, but so was Snyder, right? So, um, that doesn't hold a lot of weight, but I'm going to give this guy, I'm going to cut this guy some slack. He's a fan. I'm going to, come on and, be a part of it. But,
I think the leash will be longer because these guys are from the area as opposed to Jeff Bezos.
probably, I think, yeah, there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing for the media and fans to bash them for yet. Right.
Right.
They'd be quick to bash Jeff Bezos, especially if there was ever anything that had to do with a budget. He gets he doesn't get a pass at all when it comes to anything budget wise because he's
Right.
Jeff Bezos. So
Right. No doubt. No doubt. So one quick thing here that before we get into a little bit of the camp, one of the topic that seems to be circulating and some traction, at least on the Twitter traction. I don't know about in the world, and that is the name. Obviously, you and I are sitting here. You're wearing a Redskins hat. I'm wearing a Redskins pullover and even a Commander's hat, right? Just because we got the gear, and
yep.
I still wear some of it from time to time. Last I saw, I think there was 30,000 signatures to some stupid petition that's circulating around.
One of those online meaningless petitions. Yeah.
Yeah. That is, I think the goal keeps changing. I think the last I saw was 50,000.
Right.
And now they're up to close to 40,000 signatures to change the name back.
Make it 1 million. Make it 1 million and reach 1 million. Okay. And yeah.
So what are your thoughts, man, on this push to change the name back to the Redskins?
I like the passion of the Washington Redskins, right? That's our what we grew up with, right? Those are the Super Bowl teams. That's who we rooted for forever and a day. And to the point of let there be a million people signing that petition. Every single person in Washington, D.C., DMV area can sign that petition, and it is not going back to the Washington Redskins.
Never.
It is not.
Hang on. Never ever.
I'm within about a step and a half of never ever. And not, you know what? If there was no blowback to the ownership group for going back to Washington, they would do it. I believe they would. But all your sponsors are not going to allow it. The same sponsors that were mad and forced the change, they're not going to embrace it now. Why? Just because there's a different owner? It's if it was a bad name for one person, it was a bad name for another ownership group.
Okay, you didn't want to go out there and say never ever. I'm gonna say it. It's never, ever, ever going back to the Washington Redskins. I don't give a damn how many signatures they put up. It's
I
not
agree.
going back to the Redskins.
No, it's
Now,
not.
the second question is, will they go through another rebrand?
I'm personally, I'm going to say flip a coin. As of today, as today's date,
no, man.
I'm
I
going to
need an
say
answer. I
flip a
need an
coin
answer,
of
man. Get off
whether
the
they're going to
fence.
do it or not.
Get off the fence. I need an answer. I'm not
No,
gonna
I'm
hold you
telling
to
you,
it.
I don't know whether they will or not.
Okay,
I
well, let me
think
ask you this. Let me ask you this. Do you want them to go through another rebrand? Yes or no? Yes or no?
If I get to pick from
You don't.
a couple names myself,
You won't.
then I'm nervous about it.
You won't. They're not gonna ask Ken. You're not gonna get the vote on
You
it.
don't know that. You don't know
Then-
that. They got my number.
So come on, man.
Hey, they got my name. They got my number. You know.
No. I don't listen.
I know Reggie's answer.
What's my answer?
Not just no, but hell no.
Listen, man. Listen. I'm gonna tell you why I don't want to go to a rebrand. For starters, I don't spend too much damn money on Redskins, football team, and Commanders. I don't need a fourth name. So let's just be honest. So selfishly, I don't need another.
I feel you on that one.
I don't need another damn rebrand. But if they go through and do another rebrand, all the people that hated the football team, then when we became the Commanders, had a problem with that. Who's to say that if they go from Commanders to the Washington whatever, that you're going to like that even better? Because they're not going to listen to you. They're not going to take your input. You might think that you might.
Yeah, you got fooled the first time.
Exactly. So what makes you think they're going to all of a sudden listen to the fans the next time around?
I think I'll give you my 2 cents on why myself and some people would like to change the name.
Okay, but hang on. Let me finish
my
point. So at the end of the day, just because they choose to go through another rebrand doesn't mean you're going to like that name any better. Agreed. Just like everybody was pushing for we didn't want to remain the football team. So therefore, we wanted to go to another name because that's so whatever. And then all of a sudden, we didn't like that. So what makes you think you're going to like the fourth name? So for me, get used to the name Commanders, because at the end of the day, we could be called the Washington Toilet Bowl. And if we start winning games and being a perennial NFC champion and making it to Super Bowls, people will not care. So if we're the Commanders and we start winning, watch how quickly the name change goes to the bottom of the list of priorities for fans. So at this point, just sit down and shut the hell up.
Yes.
And just sit down and shut the hell up. I don't want another rebrand.
I think if there's a rebrand, and I'm only speaking as of today and reading the fans and even maybe reading the ownership a little bit, if there's a rebrand, one of the major reasons to rebrand is to unhook your wagon from anything that is Snyder, right? He didn't, I don't care what he said, what anybody thinks. He didn't take a poll on Commanders, right? They didn't take any input from the fans on the Commanders. But let me just say, if they do keep the Commanders, I'm okay with it. But you must, and this is a must rebrand your logo. You must update a W is not going to cut. You can have an R, right? Like we had the R back with the Redskins in the day. You can have the W in the background, but you need a true logo of something that is other than a letter.
Hey,
That
hey, man.
that is the laziest logo in today's times with all the media, with all the resources, with all the high-tech computers. Heck, go ahead and use one of these AI drawing programs and create a new logo. It is
Hey,
the bottom 5 worst logos in the NFL.
get my Kirk on. Kirk.
Kirk who? Captain, Captain Kirk from the Starship Enterprise.
Yeah. Listen,
know,
man. Listen.
It's the worst.
Almost anything they give you is gonna be some dude with a shield or some army guy.
That's okay. That's
No,
okay.
it ain't, man. I want
It's
that
all
crap,
better
man.
than a W.
Anyway, I know you and I don't agree on this, but I don't want no army man. I don't want no shield. No, man.
You
No.
you laughed and when they came out with this stupid W, you're just now used to it. You're used to it now.
And like
You're
anything
financially
else, baby,
invested
and
in
like
the
anything
W.
else, you get used to it. You get used to the Commanders.
It's stupid. The Commanders was lame and stupid. The W is 100 times worse than the Commanders.
Oh my God.
As a
Come
matter of
on, man.
fact, I'm on here right now. I'm changing everything. Rebrand everything. Rebrand.
All right. Let's move on because we don't want to get bogged down in this, man. Let's move on to the next time.
But they will not be going to the Washington Redskins.
I think that is the one thing we agree on. We will never, ever, if you talk about the Washington Redskins, it's going to be old footage.
Yes.
Or you're going to be talking about players who played for the Redskins.
Correct.
That team name is gone. It is gone. It's never coming back.
Nope.
Never coming back. So anyway, next topic, brother.
Well, let's get back to training camp, right? Before we lose one of our 3 listeners. We had a few days of what I call light practice, just running around, kind of like flag football. But today was the first day that they put their pads on, a little more contact. I mean, they're not going crazy on each other. That won't happen until like the first scrimmage against Baltimore. But even that is going to be a little bit lighter than an actual preseason game. But they get used to running around. Ron said he wanted to see how quick and nimble they all are in pads. It takes a little bit to get used to that sometimes. But early on, you're seeing the first week or so here, you're seeing the defense get consistently a little bit better, get at the offense a little bit better than the offense giving it to the defense. And that's not unexpected, right?
No, not at all. I've learned over the years, man, not to get too high and not to get too low regarding any reports coming out of training camp, right? We could probably have a Hall of Fame list of players that were killing it in training camp, and then the preseason or the season started, and we never heard from these guys.
All right.
And so therefore, I take any report with a grain of salt. I think on our last podcast, I said, with the exception of injuries, I just don't want to hear coming out of camp how bad Sam is looking. So the fact that he is looking okay, he seemed to be building some rapport and chemistry with certain players. That's cool. The fact that he throws an interception, okay, yeah, I guess. I mean, to your point, the defense is in the 4th year of this, playing with each other in somewhat the same system. They modified a little bit, but these guys are light years ahead of the offense. Offense has 4 new starters on the offensive line that are not only trying to work together to build chemistry. But oh, by the way, they're trying to learn a new offense. And even the quarterback doesn't even know the offense. And I use that lightly to say he's learning it himself. It's not like he's been in this offense and can help direct traffic with the linemen and some of the receivers. So he himself is learning. So when I hear some of this stuff that they're working, they're not game planning for our defense. In fact, I'm a little encouraged that if you tell me that Sam had an okay day against our defensive front, I feel better about that, because that means that for a team that we're game planning with, or defense is not as good, then maybe he's going to look better. Right. And maybe that's just a foolish way of thinking, perhaps. I don't know. But if you were telling me right now that our offense is, John Keim and those guys are telling us how bad the offense looks, and they have a lot of concerns about this offensive team going into the season, and that the defense is going to have to carry this team, then I would be a lot more worried than I am right now. But right now we're getting things like, man, the guys are holding their own. The defense seems to win this day. Or then, the offense looks great. Or then looks suspect, But I'm not overly worried at this point. I just want to know that everybody is doing good. Everybody's either trending upward or being steady. And
getting better
and
feel.
Our rookies are holding their own out there. Emmanuel Forbes, Quan Martin. Doesn't look like this is too big for them. Then I'm cool with it, because when the lights come on, that's when it's going to actually count, man. And so right now, I'm not getting too high or too low about what I'm hearing and seeing out of camp right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, normally even on veteran teams with veteran quarterbacks, normally the offense still takes a little bit longer to click. Defense comes in and they're just playing. They're just reading, right? What I read you and how you're going, whether I'm playing in a zone or playing man to man. It's the offense that needs to think, right? How am I cutting? How am I making a move? Who's going where as a quarterback? There's a lot more moving parts and thought into it from an offensive perspective, especially when you haven't been doing it for months at a time. So defense almost always has a better start than the offense. Even with teams that have a better offense than the defense, clearly we have a better defense than the offense itself. As far as an interception or two that Hal has thrown, I promise you, Patrick Mahomes has thrown at least one interception since he's been in camp, right? But nobody worries about Patrick Mahomes throwing an interception. Nobody worries about Herbert throwing an interception. But as soon as Sam Howell does it, it's oh no. He's learning. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's learning. The coaches feel like he has the skills, the knowledge for the game, the feel for the game to be a successful quarterback, and that is exactly what training camp is all about. We'll find out week one. I think we'll see some of it in the preseason, even against vanilla defenses. You'll see his composure. That's what I'll be looking at mainly is his composure. And even during preseason, there's going to be some times where the offensive line will break down, and we'll see how he handles it. Does he scramble? Does he throw the ball away? Does he make a hot read and get it to somebody? How does he handle those situations? Because that's where we've seen that's where we've saw troubles over the last few years with this quarterback rotation. Of either, I'm holding the ball too long. I refuse to throw the ball away. I try to force it and make a play when the best thing to do was just to, throw it out of bounds 10 yards downfield. They just need to become instinctual for any quarterback in this league.
Yeah, I think Sam is fine. I think
I agree.
If you, meaning not just you, but just people in general, were okay with Taylor Heinicke behind center,
yep,
then you have to be, in my opinion, you have to be okay with Sam Howell, because he's at the floor level, he's Taylor Heinicke
with a better arm.
Right. And at a ceiling, the ceiling is still there, right? The sky's the limit, so to speak, for this kid.
Right.
But he's at least your Taylor Heinicke with some better skill set is what I would say.
Natural,
So
with natural better skill set, just in his DNA. Yes, I don't
just a
disagree.
better core. So if we got a better version of Taylor Heineke is my floor, then I'm not overly worried about Sam.
Right.
If there's anything I'm worried about is the fact that we have a harder schedule this year, and he is trying to he would be learning on the job, so to speak, against some pretty good teams week in and week out. That's really my only concern.
Yeah.
Will he be the long-term answer? Obviously, we'll find that out. But as a short term, I have more concerns about our offensive line being able to protect Sam than I am about Sam not being able to be a good quarterback for us.
Right. I agree. I think Washington made some perceived upgrades at offensive line, and I think they will be better than last year. But will it be good enough to be the offensive line that a young, inexperienced Sam Howell needs? I would have liked for them to have, when free agency came along, and we went out first day or two and got a couple offensive linemen. I said we went, instead of waiting for the scraps, we looked at the lower mid-level players and we got the ones that we wanted at that level, right? We didn't wait for everybody else to get them, and then now we'll take the leftovers. We're like, okay, here's the B level players. We're going to go get the B level player that we like. I think that we should have either gotten another B level player or gone out and got an A level player, because they knew at the time that they were going with Sam Howell. And we'll see how it plays out, right? I hope the coaches made the right choices on their, laying out how they want to go with the offensive line this year. But I'll say we will go for as far as Sam Howell takes us, but I've got more concern with the offensive line than I do Sam Howell.
I agree, man. I that's what I'm listening to. So the interceptions that we see here, or whatever the case, look, man, he's working on his craft, and so I'm not overly concerned about that at this point. It's training camp, man. In fact, This is only week 2 of training camp, and so again, let's just get out of this thing injury free. Get ourselves through preseason, get to week 1.
Yep.
And let's ball, man. Let's ball.
Yeah. I do like, I know we kind of touched on it. I do like the fan experience that's going on with their practice. To your point, the players and the coaches have commented on it, and I like seeing the videos of the fans. When there's a good catch, or a big play, I mean, you can hear it all the way across the audio, the oohs and ahs and applause and everything like that. So I do like that. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but one thing I want to touch base, a negative on the training camp, is the news of Jamin Davis dealing with his knucklehead speeding ticket. And the judge is not letting him just brush it off, right? They try to come to an agreement of something very low key, of a sentencing, and the judge looked at it between what the prosecutor and his defense team came up with, and the judge is like, nah, we're not. The judge didn't accept it, and It's not common that you see that, right? Judges normally will back the prosecutor, but the judge isn't having that. So, I don't know what this is going to turn into, Jamin Davis. It's definitely a distraction for him, and if you listen to the reports, he hasn't been running with the first team very much in training camp either, even when he's been on the field.
Yeah, but they said that has more to do with the procedure that he had, that he's trying to overcome and get rehabbed, and the fact that he missed, didn't get any work into the new scheme and things that they're implementing during the mini camp. So therefore, he's slowly being worked in, which is the same thing they did with Cody Barton doing mini camp and let Khalid Hudson run with the ones because they wanted Cody to kind of get some things under his belt here. So I
Right.
think that has less to do with the speeding ticket and more to do with him coming off the little procedure that he had. You know, man, is it a bonehead thing that Jamin is out here speeding? Yeah, it is. What makes it worse is he was, and I don't know the full connection, but either he was in front of or following, but that whole incident with DeSager Everett and
Yep.
his fiance. So
Yep.
again, Jamin Davis attached to that, and somehow, if you remember, speeding played a role in that particular incident.
Absolutely.
Um,
and then Davis also got a not as extreme of a speeding ticket, but he got another pretty good speeding ticket literally just like 2 weeks prior. So
so here's the deal.
He's got a bad habit when it comes to speed and cars, and you know.
I'm gonna give you my big picture deal here. The ramifications of this on a big picture. Short term, he's not. Nothing major is going to happen to Jamin Davis, right? Even with the judge rejecting the plea deal that they had agreed upon with the prosecution,
right?
If he ends up losing some few games during the season, this could be the last of Jamin Davis that we see as a Washington Commander. Because I'm gonna tell you what, Jamin Davis was a first round pick.
Yep.
And when you're a first round pick, right or wrong, there's usually high expectations. Jamin Davis has not lived up to those expectations. And now here's a situation where this is supposed to be the year that the team is expecting, has publicly said they expect big things from Jamin Davis. And Jamin's not having a great camp yet. And whether it's due to him coming back to his recovery or whatever, but he's not having you're not hearing big things out of Jamin Davis in camp. And if Jamin Davis ends up losing playing time to Cody Barton and Khalid Hudson and any other backup, David Mayo or any other linebacker they got on this team, and the fact that you have a lead foot and you make bonehead decisions, those are the kind of guys that they don't resign. And if Jamin Davis is going to have a resurgence of a football career, it would be with another team, but it won't be with the team in Washington. So unless he comes out and turns this thing around, I'm just telling you, I think we'll be seeing the last of Jamin Davis.
I don't disagree. Go back, 10 or 12 years ago, there was always something like this going on with some player. That hasn't been the case under Ron Rivera. So look, you're talking about 50 guys that have a lot of money, a lot of fame. Things potentially are going to happen in life, right? You can have 50 guys that working at the business that you are, and somebody's going to end up getting in trouble occasionally. But how, if you're a top producer at that company, they cut you a little more slack. If you're the guy that's just barely hanging on, it gives them a reason to not keep you around.
Dang, if Curtis, Jahan, Terry, John Allen, Deron Payne, Chase Young, if those guys speeding, hey man, they're gonna give you a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, just slow down for us, okay?
Yeah. We don't need you getting it. We don't need no negative publicity. We don't need you getting in trouble. We're gonna have a sit down and talk with you. Jamin Davis, man, listen, brother, you're gonna mess around here and they're gonna release you.
Right.
Okay, that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna end up because again, the Cody Bartons and the Khalid Hudsons of the world is looking to take your spot, and you about to hand it to them because you're being stupid.
Right.
So that's all I got to say on Mr. Davis. But I hope he's learning from this, man. Come on, dog.
Oh yeah, I mean we want him to turn the corner both on the field and off the field, right? I mean, to stop speeding is easy to do, right? We're not talking about going 12 miles over the limit. We're talking like what are they?
This
What are
dude's
they
going
call them?
114 and a 45.
And from what I hear, that 45 wasn't just a 45, but there was a lot of people around, up and down that street and walkway or whatever it was. That it was. It wasn't, at 2 a.m. when nobody's around. It was there were a lot of people around, and so if he would have lost control, it would have been a really bad scene.
Idiot, man. What an idiot.
Yes, without a doubt. But anyway, but outside of that, most of the things out of the training camp have been pretty good. A lot of positives. And we know this time of year you're going to pretty much just hear positive things. If you hear something negative this time of year, it's it's a negative. That person might start getting their resume together for whatever they got their degree in college. One of the things I did hear also was that Logan Thomas over the first 5 or 6 days is looking like the old Logan Thomas, moving around, running well, getting his routes, doing everything that we liked before he started getting injuries. And then even last year, had a little bit of health issues, but still didn't seem like he was the same Logan Thomas. Supposedly he's looking like Logan Thomas of, say, 3 years ago, when he was a weapon. So that's definitely a positive.
Yeah, it's a positive, man.
A young quarterback can't have too many, right? Your tight end a lot of times is your, when things are breaking down, your tight end is right there because they're normally not the ones going deep. They're blocking and releasing. They're doing little hooks. They're doing little the grunt work that you can check down to if you need to. And you got to have somebody there to do that.
Well, I think
if it's not Logan Thompson, somebody else needs to step up. But we have been hearing good things about Logan Thomas. The other tight ends, we haven't ever seen it. Do they have it in them? Maybe, but we've seen it in Logan Thomas. And if that's the Logan Thomas that we're getting, that's nothing but good for the Burgundy and Gold.
Yeah, and we all, I think, expect the tight end to be a big part of our offense. I do not expect those guys to put up Travis Kelce type numbers in production, but we do believe that the tight ends will be featured in our offense, and so therefore a healthy and productive Logan Thomas obviously is going to help Sam Howell and it's going to help our offense. So I'm not overly excited about it because technically we don't have the stud playmaker in that group, at least not yet.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that there's not one there, because to your point, we've not seen it from the other guys. And maybe all of a sudden this offense highlights and allows one of those guys to jump out there and become that guy. But as of right now, we've not seen it, so we don't know that we have that guy just yet. But again, I'm going to keep circling back. None of it matters if we can't protect Sam Howell, because I think Sam Howell is going to be fine. We just got to protect him. Right, and if we protect him and give this kid a chance to do what he does best behind center, I think we'll be fine, man. I'm not worried. I'm just only concerned about the offensive line.
And we play some tough defenses this year. Just within our division is going to be tough. The lines with all three teams, Philly and Dallas definitely, but the Giants have a solid
defensive front too.
They have a solid defensive front too. So it's there's not going to be any easy days for that offensive line this year at all.
Which is why I need them to gel early and often.
Yes, yeah,
early and often.
Yeah, just like I said, you can't be somebody just standing there like we saw a couple players last year. They can run over you or around you, but you gotta give some level of resistance, right?
Yeah, they can't just run through you, man. Come on.
Correct.
Looking at you, Norwell.
I didn't want to say his name, but
well, he's no longer with us.
He's no longer with us
on the team. He's not dead.
Correct.
He's no longer on the team.
I mean, he played like a corpse, during the season on a few of those games, but he is alive, and I don't know if he's kicking, but he's definitely alive.
Yeah. He's fine. He's fine. He's living better than I am, but hey,
yes.
But
he got paid very well to stand there.
He did. So But anyway, man, so good reports coming out of training camp. We just kind of want to kind of get in here, and as we're going to start ramping back up ourselves, just kind of want to give a little talk on what we've been seeing, what we've been reading, what we've been hearing out of training camp. And again, as this is week 2 of training camp, and looking forward to it, man. We'll continue to bring these to you guys. We'll continue to update you. And we'll continue to give our thoughts and our feedback on these things. But that's all I got, Ken. You got anything else, man?
No, I would just say, reach out, and, even though we're doing a podcast, right now, once a week or so, roughly, going into the season, we're active on Twitter. So reach out and find the Burgundy and Gold Knuckleheads on Twitter and interact with us there. We all can get a report that something is happening, but each of us as fans and podcasters, we have different reactions to what that means. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it not a big deal? Hit us up on Twitter, and let us know your 2 cents of what you think. I think over the next couple weeks, also as things move and we start seeing positions, we're going to probably throw out a few polls out there on who do we think should start, who do we as you see our preseason games, who did you like in that game? We'll find 3 or 4 people, put it out there, and get your input on who impressed you on those preseason games. So, please interact with us and let us know what you're thinking.
That's it, man. We're here for you, and we love you. And as always, peace out.
Peace out, knuckleheads.